Hi there. More with the Bear Body Talk series. My name is Elizabeth, and today we are talking with Christel. And we're really, really excited to talk to her because she was part of one of the bear photo shoots a few years back with Michelle. Hi, Christel.
Hello, Liz. I'm so happy to be here with you today. And little bit about me. I'm a healer and a business coach, and doing that in my current body of work. And I'm super passionate about supporting women to be fully comfortable in their body and to share their life purpose with the world. So, which is why I was so excited about getting involved with Michelle and her body work, because they come together so beautifully around empowering women.
I love that. I love that you're bringing healing energy out into the world. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about what your experience was at the bear photo shoot.
Yes, well, it's of course an adventure in preparing for the photo shoot, like all of the mental process that goes into preparing for showing up and getting naked in full of a room full of women, which for me wasn't the challenge. It was more the being on camera
Mm.
was the edge for me. And knowing that they would most likely end up on the internet. So for me, the process of being there was one of the things that was the most beautiful to me was the community that was built among women. To me, one of the most powerful things that happened that day was going around the room and each woman sharing their story. And it was a room full of 25 or more women. And each woman's story, like every woman in the room, had been through something horrible, and some of them multiple horrible things. And it just built this sense of sisterhood and compassion. And you just never know somebody's story by looking at them.
Mm.
So it really built this community of feeling safe and feeling understood and feeling this sense of sisterhood, of like, as women, we've all been through a lot of hard things, and we're still living and breathing and functioning and living our lives. And to me, that was the most powerful and beautiful part of the day.
Mm. I love that. I love that. And I didn't realize there were so many women there. What was it like to be amongst women of diverse backgrounds and diverse
Yes.
stories?
Yes, well, that was including, the makeup and hair staff. There weren't that many women that were being photographed, but it was, everyone, the support staff that was supporting all of the models. It was all of the models. It was the photographer and Michelle and the hair and makeup team. So that's why there were so many women. I don't remember. It was probably about a dozen of us, 12 or 15 of us that were models for that day. But everybody participated in the storytelling part
Mm.
of it. So it was fascinating. I mean, I think the youngest person in our shoot was like in her early 20s, and the oldest was in her 70s. So, and it was a very diverse group of women from all different places, different sexual orientations, different experiences of being another mother, not being a mother. You know, it
Mhm.
was it was great. And that's part of why I think it was so beautiful, that sense of sisterhood, of even though we've all come from very different places, they're just that created when we get together and women are able to share their stories, it gives us an ability to really see each other
Yeah.
and to hold space for each other and to be compassionate with each other.
Mm.
And that's not the common paradigm among women. I mean, there's this changing paradigm in which we're part of here, is like, how do we support each other and embody our greatness and accept and support women in the diversity of shapes, sizes, forms, colors, backgrounds, everything, instead of, the old paradigm of women being catty and attacking each other and diminishing each other. And so it's really great to be part of this movement of women supporting women.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Awesome. So, I have a feeling you've got a few stories about you and your relationship with your body. And I'm also interested not just how you currently uh, relate to your body, but how you use it in your work as a healer. I'm curious about that too.
Yeah, so I haven't struggled with really body image issues per se, and weight hasn't been one of the things that I've struggled with in relationship to my body. But part of why I became a healer was I had massive health issues. I had
Mm.
asthma and allergies growing up. I almost died when I was 6 months old. So I had health issues. I had suffered from back pain. I was an athlete, and so I had multiple back injuries, which is part of why I became a healer, was because I didn't want to be on medication and in the hospital and not living the life I wanted. So in that way, that was kind of where the challenge arose for me in relationship to my body, was health challenges
Yeah.
and not feeling like I hated my body. That wasn't my experience. But not feeling safe was a big issue for me. I grew up in an alcoholic household, and my stepfather was, when my mother remarried, was very inappropriate.
Mm.
And as I was, a young teenage girl. And so I had those issues of not feeling safe, of not being allowed to express, or not having a safe space to express my sexuality.
Mm.
So that's part of how the healing work that I've been doing with my body, is getting my body healthy so that my immune system is happy, managing, navigating healing back pain, navigating healing trauma and crisis and abuse. Those have been the challenges that I've faced in my relationship with my body, which is different than what a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet there's so much, there must be such a deep and poignant emotional landscape that you dealt with through that process. And I'm curious if you want to bear a little bit more of your story about that, because it may not be a similar story, but I'm sure people can relate to not feeling safe, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I definitely think that's a lot of why I've been a healer for 24 years. And so I've worked with a lot of clients who don't feel safe and are struggling with back pain and have this adversarial relationship with their body. So a lot of my work is about self-love.
Yeah.
And so loving ourselves and learning to feel safe in our body, to me, that's been, my challenge in my own healing journey, as well as what I'm working with my clients, is feeling safe in my body and being like, it's okay to be in my body. And my body has been a huge vehicle for healing. Movement, yoga practice, dancing, hula hooping, acrobatics, being an athlete, being a mountain climber, all of these things for me have been a way of paying attention to my nutrition and, aromatherapy and massage, and all of these healing modalities to me are very much about being embodied and being comfortable in my body. So although I wasn't having this, I didn't have a hating relationship with my body. I did feel like I need to feel safe in my body. I need to feel safe. And for me, it was more environmental. Like I wanted to be in a safe space so that I could move and breathe and do gymnastics or dance or whatever the things were. And also developing self-love for myself, which is a common, feeling safe is common for, I think, most women on the planet, is often a challenge, and loving ourselves. So for me, it was more that because my parents were emotionally unavailable because they were alcoholics, I had this belief that I was unlovable.
Yeah.
And so going into that place of learning to love myself and learning to value who I am and not just what I can do. Because then, of course, the way that I got attention and praise was by what I could do, win this competition or this or that, whatever, by actions, instead of loving the essence of who I am. So that's been a big part of my own healing, is that self-love piece. And is, we all can use more of that.
Oh, amen. I definitely feel like the world could use a lot more self-love. And I think women specifically have it's a, I loved the term you used, adversarial, and it's interesting how women in current society are raised specifically, or it's implied that other women are our adversaries. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other women, and then the impact is that we have this adversarial or hating relationship for our body. And you may not have experienced that specifically, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on how women, this new paradigm that we're trying to be part of with Women Enough, how you see it interacting with the old paradigm, and how you see the women around you either loving or hating themselves and their bodies.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful shift that's happening. I mean, I feel really blessed to be involved in a community of women that were really cheering for each other and supporting each other and empowering each other. And, my primary work now is as a spiritual business coach. So I'm integrating healing and business. And so in general, most of my clients are women helping women.
Yeah.
Which is such a beautiful thing. I mean, it gives me chills just to talk about it, because then for me, it's, my impact is affecting my clients and their communities and the women in those communities and the daughters and the granddaughters. And, it's really changing the way that we are with ourselves and with each other, which is such a beautiful thing. And I feel so blessed to be a part of it. I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the women entrepreneurs movement here is so strong and so amazing. It's been a really powerful place for me to be and to feel really supported, because, if we go back to my story, my mother remarried a man who should not have been around young girls. And when I went to her and told her what was happening, she did what commonly happens, and she did nothing and didn't protect me and didn't do anything. And so I went to my father and told him, and said, he was like, well, come live with me. And she disowned me. She basically told me I was no longer her daughter when I left. So she disowned me. So there was this huge wound for me around women, that I had this belief, like, I can't trust women are going to betray me. That became my story because of my relationship with my mother. So it's been many years of a variety of healing modalities to begin to trust women again. And now to not only trust women, but to feel so supported and celebrated by women. Mm. So I just want to share that it's possible, like, no matter what relationship you've had with your mother, your sisters, yourself as a woman, it's possible to do that healing and for it to just have a radically different experience. And it's interesting now because my mother is still living, and my father has passed, and I feel like I've done an enormous amount of healing around the feminine and my relationship with women, that I feel like I'm having good relationships with women now. And my father died. And now it's like, and even though my father became my hero by rescuing me out of that horrible environment, then he passed away. And then I felt this sense of like being abandoned by my father. So I am now going back to do all this healing around the masculine and men, and I feel like for each of us as women, for each of us as women, I imagine are mostly the people watching this video, but that healing of the masculine and the feminine, and healing our relationship with our mother and our father and our own inner masculine and feminine, is what supports us in having different relationships with with other people, right? It's like all the healing work I've done around being in relationship with my own feminine has allowed me to meet people like you, like Michelle, like the other women who were involved in this project, that, it just opens the space for us to create a whole new experience, even if we've come out of, horrible and devastating and traumatic situations. And it's really possible to rebuild and to create a whole new paradigm.
Yeah. I love that. I love two things about what you said, which is that working with your own inner masculine and feminine energies and roles, or identities, whatever you want to call it, helps heal the relationships outside. Because I love, not only do I personally see that as very true, and I believe you're right about that, but it also is a different perspective on how to heal things, because usually we think healing we think is synonymous with fixing, when really healing is what runs a little bit deeper than just fixing a problem. So I love that people might want to fix relationships with other women and think it's content, or it's external, or it's a kind word, or it's a kind gesture, when really it's this work first, so that other relationships can be healed externally with the women in your life, with your mother, with your sisters, with daughters, etc. So
Right.
I love that parallel.
Yes. And for me, there was a huge realization, back in the day when I realized, I was like, I don't trust women. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, that means I don't trust myself, and so that's when it really became clear, like, yes, there needs to be healing work done with my mother, but there needs to be healing work with me, because if I don't trust myself, nobody outside of me is ever going to be trustworthy in my own mind.
I love that. That is really powerful. And I think people forget, I'm I'm a woman. If I say I don't trust other women, it's, what does that say about me and how I relate to myself and my own womanhood? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I also, the other thing I loved about your story is that you had very specific experiences growing up as a child. And I'm curious what experiences you're looking forward to in your life, having done some of this healing work, and having experienced the bear photo shoot. Where do you see, as a woman in this world, where do you see your next steps?
One of the things is really about relationship to community and building this new vision of relating in the world. And that's one of the things that's most exciting to me, is that, my body of work is focused on supporting women to make money doing what they love. And so it's very much a women's empowerment movement, not only here in the Bay Area, but globally, because I think that when women can financially support themselves, whether they want to or need to or not, just knowing that they can do that, then they have greater freedom of choices. They can get the medical care they need, they can get the education they need and want, and they have freedom to make choices. So for me, that global vision of empowering women to make money doing what they love, first of all, puts us in touch with our purpose, because I believe each one of us has a purpose, whether it's being a homeschooling mom or a CEO of a multinational company. Like, there's a purpose that's calling on each of us as women. And I think as we step into that, we get lit up, and we are an example, and we're on purpose and living in alignment, and that impacts the environment and it impacts our communities. And so for me, as I'm building my team, it's not like my team of my virtual assistant and my online business manager. It's like my team is like the women who are here to live on purpose and to make a living and make a difference and be in support of a sustainable way of life on the planet, and expressing beauty and enjoying embodiment and all of these things. So for me, the thing that I'm most excited about is this like massive global collaboration project.
Mm.
I am very focused on, supporting women. And I also look forward to coming together with male leaders who are leading men and coming together in community to build that bridge. So, because I had this internal struggle, like I'm only helping women, but men need help as well. And, and which is true. And as a woman, I feel like I'm better suited to support women in this phase of my life. But definitely down the road, I very much look forward to this collaboration of men and women coming together in a way that's beautiful and supportive, and it doesn't have fixed roles or ideas of what men and women can and can't do. That it's more just like, this is who I am, and this is what I love, and this is what I'm great at, and this is what I want to share with the world, and I want to be supported in the process of doing that. And so for me, that's the super exciting thing, is working with other men and women who are on a similar mission of making the world a great place to be, and healing old wounds and letting go of old pathways and paradigms that are no longer serving us and aren't sustainable. I mean, we're in a sustainability crisis.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's time. It's time.
It's time. I love it. I love it. No, I think you're right. I think this is not just a woman's field. It's a human field. It's about moving forward sustainably and being human, not just doing human, but being human.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. I loved how you talked about being lit up and having purpose, and it reminds me that I've heard so much, and I feel like I know your purpose specifically. And I'm really curious about, what lights you up, what turns you on, what are some of the embodiments in your life that you enjoy so much that you just can't help but do them.
Yes. Well, nature is a big connection point for me, whether it's being in the ocean and body surfing or scuba diving or wakeboarding or rock climbing or backcountry hiking, or I love, love, love nature. For me, it is a place where I feel the most connected, the most safe, the most in touch and lit up. And then also, I love movement. So I'm a yoga practitioner and teacher. I love dancing. I practice acrobatics. I'm very interested in touch as a form of communication. I'm a massage therapist and a healer, although it's not the main thing I do anymore. I still believe that there is so much healing. There's so much power in touch.
Yeah.
And so supporting other people to be able to touch themselves and touch each other in ways that are deeply healing. Like one of the main ways that I support my clients, even my business coaching clients, is learning to touch themselves. Learning to touch themselves in a way that feels good. And for many women, that's a huge frontier of like, I'll be in a room full of women and I'll say, bring your hands to your low belly. And what do you feel? And I ask them to share. And most often they'll say, oh, it feels fat. I don't like it. It's bloated. I feel pregnant. And those are thoughts. That is not what you feel. That's what you think about your belly. So it's supporting women to be like, when I feel my belly, I feel the curves. I feel the softness. I feel the shape. And so helping women feel themselves is so important. And then as we learn to feel ourselves and to be able to touch ourselves in a way that feels good, then we can develop, once we've developed that intimacy with ourselves, then we can cultivate intimacy with other people, which is definitely part of my message, is supporting people in, making eye contact and to being able to shake hands and build connection. And so I totally got lost in my response. I don't even remember what the question was, but
loving it anyway.
Yes. So it is, it was what do I love? So being in nature, getting people moving and moving myself is what I love. And then developing intimacy and vulnerability through touch, through eye contact, through writing, through speaking, through sharing our soul's calling and clearing away all of the limitations and wounds that keep us from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you mentioned touch, because I think it's really true that we have this. I recently saw a movie, and it was back in Jane Austen's time, so they called it fleshy envelope, and I laughed at the phrase, but it's true. We have this. We have skin. We have something we can actually touch, and there are nerve receptors underneath, and we know how it feels to be touched there, but we don't actually just sense that. We don't actually sit in those senses for longer than, hi, how's your, oh, that's your hand, it's sweaty. And, we don't sit in it for a while and go, oh yeah, I am soft in my belly. Or, wow, my wrist is really tight, or it's very hard or structured. I mean, we think we're in our heads more often than we're in our bodies. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Yes.
I think to close out, I'm really, really interested in why you think Women Enough is important at this time in history, and why this message now of self-love, of self-acceptance, of claiming womanhood as it is, not as it should be.
Yes. Well, I think it's so important because there is this, what we're being programmed by media to believe, is that, you have to be a size 0 and 5'10" to be beautiful. And even that isn't good enough, really, because even those women are photoshopped when they're put on magazines and ads, right?
Yeah.
So it's so important for women to be like, this is, and at the same time, there are women who are 5'10" and are very thin, like not making that wrong either. But more my point in that was more the like photoshopping to make even women who are beautiful appear flawless. And so I think that the message of Women Enough being that no matter if you are very tall and thin and look like a model, or you're very curvy and round and short and have colored skin, that every woman is beautiful, and it's more about the woman's essence rather than this unattainable idea of being flawless.
Yeah.
And so we are, and especially because of social media and the kids who have cell phones and are just being influenced at such a younger age than when I was growing up. I mean, there was television, but it was very different. Like when I watch my niece and nephew's cartoons, they're so sexualized. I'm like, they're 5. This is crazy, And so I think that it is so much more important now because of social media, because things have been so sexualized, that it's like giving girls and women permission to be comfortable in their skin, to be safe in their skin, to find the way that they can express their sexuality without being totally objectified for it. I mean, I think that this message of you are woman enough as you are, you don't have to change anything, is so, so important now. And it does feel like a crisis point where it's like, eating disorders among young girls, and them just being totally programmed with, what's okay and not okay, and being objectified and all of these things. It's that much more intense than when I was young. Yeah. And so getting that support to women of all ages, but especially to younger women, so that they learn that loving themselves is possible and important, and really the greatest gift that they can give themselves and all of their relationships in the world.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thank you. I think it's true. And I just have to appreciate how much you shared of yourself with us today. I'm really honored that you bared yourself, got naked in a different sense.
Yes.
And I'm really touched by how passionate you are about healing, period, no matter who it is, no matter what it's about. And just thank you for bringing that energy into the world and being the woman that you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm honored to be here and to share my story. And to me, it's like, however I can be of service to other people's healing, to inspire them, empower them, to give them hope, and to see that it's possible. To me, that's part of what I'm here for, is to open the doorway for people to step into their own healing, no matter how bad or horrible it's been. Then it's like at any moment we get to choose to
Right.
step onto the path of learning to love ourselves. And it's just, one step at a time. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm super stoked to continue to support the mission of Women Enough. It's so needed in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Christel.
Thank you.